Oh man. So what has my coach and y'all's pastor for life, what has he been up to? What do you mean? Shutting down the P2P motivation. What are we talking about? It's supposed to be about from purpose to prison for Megan. And it was for him, it was from prison to perpetrating. You mean he's shutting it down? What are you talking about? He's cutting it back to once or twice a week. Is that right? And he's only going to do the P2P motivation / inspirations when he has some hot fire in his belly. Okay. When God puts some hot fire in his belly, he may come out from time to time and rant or rage upon the reaction channels. Is that right? Only from time to time. But the P2P motivations are gone by the wayside. Is that right? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He didn't tell me. I'm the captain. He didn't even tell me. That's some straight up bull. Straight up bull. And I'm like, okay, come on now. Ridiculous. How do I say goodbye? How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh. P2P, no. P2P, ha. P2P, ha. P2P, ha. The good times that made us laugh outweigh the bad. Now, we got some good laughs. We certainly got some good laughs out of that P2P motivation. We got some good laughs out of it. I mean, certainly we had 1 minute of intro. We had 3 to 4 minutes of nonsense, and we had a couple of minutes of rambling. But certainly we got some good times out of that, yes? And so, of course, the good times that made us laugh outweigh the bad. They didn't really outweigh the bad, though, did they? A lot of badness, a lot of foolishness, especially once he pushed Megan out in front of the camera. Is that right? I thought we'd get to see forever. I thought P2P was for life. I thought that was his favorite channel. Didn't he tell us that his numbers were trending upwards? I thought his numbers were trending upwards. I thought he was doing addition by subtraction. Okay? And so he cut it off. He's cutting off the motivation. He's cutting off the foolishness, the nonsense. Is he tired of plagiarizing other folks' motivational talks? Is he tired of it? If he's tired of pushing Megan, is he tired of pushing Megan in front of the camera and not getting the results? Does he realize that Megan is better as a camera person than as a person in front of the camera trying to execute a script? Did he realize that Megan's best qualities are giggling and holding the camera and caring for those boys? Those are her best qualities when it comes to the YouTube. Did he realize that? Maybe he did, and that's why he shut it down. I thought we'd get to see forever. I thought he was committed to this. I thought he had a vision from God, for this P2P nonsense. I thought he had a vision. I thought we'd get to see forever. But forever's gone away. Apparently it's gone away. It's so hard. It's hard. P2P. It's hard. It's going to be hard to say goodbye to yesterday. P2P, no. P2P, P2P. It's going to be hard to say goodbye. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to say goodbye. No, I'm not very convincing. P2P. How about that? Is that better? P2P. P2P. There you go. P2P. There you go. No, I'm not selling it. I'm about as convincing as Megan. Really? Okay. All right. So what else is my... What else? I was trying to sell it. Okay? I'm trying to sell it when he really did us a favor by not stealing 10 to 12 minutes of our lives every morning at 7 a.m. at 6 a.m. Central. Okay, by not stealing 10 to 12 minutes of our lives every morning, he's really doing us a favor. So it's hard for me to sell the fact that it's hard. It's going to be hard to say goodbye to the it's going to be hard, right? But it's hard for me to sell it. I'm sorry. Okay. Considering that I guess he was motivating someone. I don't know who he was motivating. I'm not sure. He was inspiring someone. I'm not sure who he was inspiring. I know he was trying to build up himself. He was trying to build himself. And I guess he got tired of trying to build himself up. And he wasn't seeing any fruit of his labor. He was beating on his chest, beating on his chest, beating on his chest, beating on his chest. He said, he pushed Megan out. He said, Megan, I know your chest. I know your chest is smaller than mine, Megan. But Megan, when you get out there, don't forget to beat on your chest right before you go with the ha, Megan. And I guess Coach, he wasn't seeing the results. He wasn't seeing any fruit. And I guess he just kind of said, well, okay, we're going to push that to the side. We're going to sit back on the couch. I'm going to get back to doing what I do best, sitting on my big old. But okay, all right. So what else? What else has my coach, what else has he been up to? I know they were talking about that foolish, what was it? It was the vision, the purpose, and the passion. They were talking about that nonsense. And first they were talking about getting the vision from God. And then they were talking about creating their own vision. They were talking about, well, if you got a vision from God to give away millions of dollars of fresh food, then that might not truly be the vision. And he's talking about, well, that might not be the vision. Your vision might be merely to go around and knocking on neighbors' doors, hoping that they don't call the cops on you, and then forcing them to partake in your prayer, forcing them to accept prayer from a man that is questionably a man of God. Okay, all right. But they talk about, okay, well, even though you have this particular vision to give away that fresh meat, you have a vision to actually conduct a farm, actually operate a farm, even though you have this supposed vision from God. They're giving us excuses for why they are not operating a farm, why they are not raising up farm fresh meat, why they are not planting any crops, why they don't even have a garden. They're giving us excuses for that. Is that right? Because although it's a vision, supposedly a vision from God, they put God's vision on hold. And somehow they got God's vision confused with their own missions, especially they got it confused apparently with Tim's mission. We already know what Tim's mission is. Okay, we already know his mission is about profiting himself. It's about fortifying his pocket. It's about accumulating his own abundance. We already know about his mission. And so I guess apparently they got God's vision confused with their own mission. And his particular purpose, as far as perpetrating, as far as putting on a certain facade, as far as misleading and deceiving folk. And so I guess they got all that stuff confused, and the end result is nothing. Okay, at this point, the end result is nothing. Is that right? And they talk about somehow that leading to a particular passion. And of course, we haven't seen any passion in or around that farm. Okay, the most passion that we've seen from them has been when they've gone to the post office. They're passionate about collecting those tips, collecting those gift cards, collecting the offerings and the other shipments. Yes. They're passionate about collecting the Venmo and collecting the Cash App. That's the only passion that we've seen in or around that farm for years. Oh, man, but they went through all that nonsense. Is that right? All of the full-fledged nonsense with regard to that. Okay. All right. So has he been up to anything? Anything else? Nothing really. Okay. All right. Well, before I get to my reaction to the recent IAG Farms, I guess it's a sneak peek. It's one of his foolish promos for his trailer or trailer for a promo. Some nonsense. But before I get to that, okay, and he's saying that supposedly the viewers responded well to it. And supposedly the viewers are eating it up. He's saying that the viewers prefer to get even more empty calories. They prefer to get even more empty content. Yes. The viewers would love to see him opening up a box, doing unboxing for a pressure washer. That's something that the viewers look forward to. Is that right? The viewers look forward to him driving over to Home Depot and getting footage of him driving. Is that right? The viewers enjoy watching footage of him ordering a $30 steak, a $30 steak, while Megan orders some $10 what was it, a chicken, whatever it was, chicken and cheese or whatever it was. She orders a $10 chicken and cheese, and the boys order the $3 chicken fingers. And he's like, I'm getting some of that too. By the way, okay, not only did I order this $30 steak, I'm getting some of that too. Okay, and so the viewers enjoy him showing them how they're spending the donations. Is that right? They really enjoy seeing the fruits going into Tim's belly. Okay, when they donated their money to a supposed ministry, a defunct supposed ministry. Okay, did they intend for that money to go toward a steak, a $30 steak? Okay, and this is only one steak outing that he caught on film. How many other outings, steak outings, were there where he was squandering, where he was burning through the investor or the donor money? How many of those? But he's saying somehow the viewers, he's giving the viewers what they want to see. They're eating it up. And so supposedly he's going to continue with this nonsense of these trailers or promos or sneak peeks or whatever goofiness he chooses to call them. But before I get to my reaction, I have to recognize you guys that have been active in the comments. Keep that commentary flowing. Keep that dialogue going both ways. Of course, I have to recognize you heavy, and I mean heavy, you heavy Tim followers. You heavy Tim followers. I hear what you guys have been saying. I hear what you guys have been saying. You guys have been saying, Captain, Captain. Some captain you are. And you guys are like, well, Captain, if you were truly the captain, then you would know that our Pastor Tim is a beast. And I'm like, huh? What? Hold on. First of all, he's not a pastor. Okay, he can be your pastor for life. Okay, but you're saying now your pastor is a beast? Now, certainly you don't mean the beast. That's debatable. Considering how he moves around that farm, his treatment or mistreatment of his own mama, okay, his misuse, mistreatment, derogatory comments toward his family, his uncles, his aunts, considering how he has shunned his own sisters, brothers, his dad. Megan's family has been shunned, how he separated, isolated Megan from her family. Some would say that he's not just a beast, he's beastly. Is that right? He's beastly. Is that why he does all that growling? And he's and he's beating his chest because he's somewhat of a beast. He sees himself as a beast. Is that why he talked in depth about annihilation? Is that why he was stuck on annihilation for about a month? Is that why he was stuck on domination for another 2 or 3 months? Is that right? Because he's a supposed beast, and that's your pastor. He's into this beast mode thing. Is that right? And so if I was truly the captain, I would understand that y'all's pastor is a beast. All right. Now, there's some people that claim that he was monstrous or that he was a monstrosity. Some people claim that. All right. But being an actual beast and being proud to be a beast. Okay, that's not something that I would have an inside scoop on. Okay, now certainly if I heard it in the videos, I would try to ignore it and just assume that it was a slip of the lips from my coach. All right, but if you guys are proud, if you ready, Tim Riders, if you guys are proud of y'all's pastor being a beast, being caught up in this supposed beast mode, then so be it. Okay, if my coach is excited about getting stuff out of the mud, getting stuff out of the muck, is that right? And we know that around IAG, when he refers to mud, we're really talking about poop. Okay, we know that 90% of the mud, we're not talking about the dirt. We're not talking about the bald spots within this imaginary lawn. Okay, we're talking about the mud. Okay, we're talking about the mud out there by the mini barn. We're talking about the mud out there by Ernest. Yes, we're talking about the mud out there by the leach fields / septic septic fields. We're talking about that mud. Okay, so when he's talking about getting out of the mud, he's talking about getting it out of the poop. And oh, by the way, it's poop that he generated himself, that he neglected himself. It's his own poop. It's his own doing. Okay. All right. When you talk about getting out of the mud, when he talked about using that pressure washer to spray off the wheels of the tractor, bear in mind that was poop. Bear in mind it was poop on the tractor. Okay. That was the poop from the pig pen, from the pigsty. And so he eventually, days later, maybe weeks later, he finally got around to spraying off the poop off of those tires. Forget about the fact that the boys are wandering around that barn area. Okay. And there's poop mixed in with the dirt, mixed in with the grass. Okay. So he finally got around to spraying off the poop. He finally got around to spraying out the poop from the bucket of the tractor, spraying off the poop from the side by side. Remember, Megan was down in the poop by the leach fields, trying to drag him out when he foolishly drove his zero turn up into the leach fields to try to mow the weeds and the briars. Okay, but who leaves poop on their equipment for weeks, days upon weeks? Who leaves that poop out? So when he talks about getting stuff out of the mud, okay, he's really talking about getting it up out of the poop. All right, he's really talking about getting up out of the poop. And so why is he excited about getting stuff out of the poop? Why is he excited about that? Okay, all right, I'm getting distracted. Let's get to it. Okay, so I'm going to give my reaction to the recent trailer. I'm going to give my reaction to that video here. Tim talks about how he's using these sneak peeks as an opportunity to fellowship with his woeful Tim worshipers. And I'm like, okay, coach, okay, are we in distress mode, coach? Yes. We know that you have some issues with depression and anxiety. We do understand. We know that you have massive insecurity issues, coach. But now you're talking into a camera. Actually, you're talking into a phone, okay? At its lowest level, at its most basic level, you're talking into a phone, coach. You're talking into a phone, okay? That just so happens to have a camera attached to it, coach. And you're talking about fellowshipping, okay? How in the world can you fellowship with a phone, coach? All right. Bible says, forsake not the fellowship. Okay. And obviously you guys shunned the church years ago. Okay. Megan talked about, well, if she's not worshiping with Tim and Tim alone, then she will be worshiping with devils. Devils or demons. I'm not sure. Which one was it? Devils? Demons? I don't know. Interchangeable. It's interchangeable in their minds. But Megan already reaffirmed the fact that the thought around there, the programming around IAG is that if you're not fellowshipping or worshiping with Tim and Tim alone, okay, if he's not interpreting the word for you and feeding the word to you, okay, then you will be fellowshipping with demons and devils. But now, coach, you grab your phone and you're talking about fellowshipping. Is that right, coach? Okay, now, once again, an inanimate object, first of all. Second of all, coach, these videos are, I don't know, by now, let's say a week, 5 days to a week behind on these sneak peeks, coach. So they're fresher. Of course, they're fresher than the IAG videos that are 4 to 5 weeks behind. But even these sneak peeks are 5 to 6 days behind, coach. And so how in the world can you claim talking into a camera would be equivalent to fellowshipping with true human beings, fellowshipping with true people of God, true children of God? How you believe that that constitutes some type of fellowship? And on the one hand, you're talking about fellowshipping. And on the other hand, you're talking about building up or hyping up the upcoming video. And I'm like, which is it? Which is it, coach? Okay. Just like with that raggedy old camper, at one point you talk about giving it away as charity. And then on the other hand, you say, well, Megan was starting up this home-based business and we're going to sell it. Okay. So are you being charitable or are you trying to be profitable? Which is it? Okay. And of course, if you transfer that trailer or that camper over to the Reservation Ranch LLC, for-profit company, okay, then it implies that you're targeting, you're shooting for profit, yes? Okay, and so now with these trailers, is it a promotion? Are you hyping up the video, the video that's it's bound to be it's destined to be empty and dry? Or are you fellowshipping with your camera / your followers, your heaviest of followers? Okay, Coach, which is it? But go ahead. Tell us more, Coach. Tell us more.
IAG, and welcome to another sneak peek IAG exclusive, where we give you bonus footage, where we give you a sneak peek into the video that's going to be posting tomorrow morning, where we just fellowship with y'all for a minute. You know, I gave y'all the example of a TV channel called TCM, Turner Classic Movies, and they have these guys in suits that kind of talk about the movie before it comes out, or before it, not before it comes out, but before they play it, just to kind of give you the context and the depth, because most of the movies that they show on their channel are like Oscar-winning, Academy Award-winning movies, and that's kind of the same thing that we're doing. We're just fellowshipping with y'all a minute, you know, kind of hyping up the movie or hyping up the video, you know what I'm saying? And just, like I said, just spending a little bit of time in real time. I'm actually getting ready now to measure all of these windows on our mobile home, because as y'all know, as I told y'all on the last sneak peek IAG exclusive, is that Megan decided that she wanted to replace the siding on our mobile home, and those videos will be coming out pretty soon.
Like Tim talks about how we should see the video of them picking out colors of paint, and of course we've already seen some painting activity on that barn. Of course, we've already seen the swatches on the barn. We've already seen that stuff. And I'm like, okay, Coach, I thought that you were blessed with some type of supernatural endurance coach. Okay, but for one reason or another, your organizational skills are ragged. They're ragged, Coach. Okay, Coach, at this point, you don't know which video is coming before which video, which one should come next in line, and what have you. And you try to claim that you're maybe 1 or 2 weeks behind. We know that means 4 to 5 weeks. Okay, Coach. And so you have no idea whether or not you've shown us the color swatches, or whether or not you've shown the priming or the completely painted barn. I shouldn't say completed barn. Okay, the completely painted, and I shouldn't say barn. I should say shed. The completely painted shed. You're not sure if you've shown us that yet, Coach. That's understandable. Okay, although supposedly you have a calling to do YouTube videos. Okay. Even though you supposedly had some type of vision around these millions of dollars of farm fresh food, supposedly you had some vision around ministry. Now you're telling us that your calling is to create YouTube videos. Oh my God. Okay, now, how does that align with it being all about God if your calling is to, okay? That may be what you are good at. Yes. Does that make it your calling? I'm not so sure about that. Okay, but if that's your calling, then go full bore into it. Certainly your activities, your 10 to 12 hours of active time around that farm every day is dedicated to YouTube videos. Okay, and you said, well, whatever a person pursues, that's going to be their purpose. Whatever they pursue is going to be their purpose. Yes. And so we know you're going full speed ahead, full steam ahead on this YouTubing. Yes. And that's what you're pursuing right now. You're not pursuing any type of ministry. You're not pursuing any type of word. Okay. You're certainly not pursuing any type of fellowship. Okay. You're not pursuing any type of spirituality. You're creating your own. Okay. You're creating your own spirituality around there. Yes. And you have Megan. You're convincing Megan that somehow she's not worthy. She's not fulfilling her calling. Okay. She's being too religious. At times when she's not being obedient to you, Tim. Not that she's not being obedient to God, but whenever she's not being obedient to you, Tim, whenever she resists a little bit, whenever she flares up just a little bit, okay, whenever we have just a little bit of disagreement, she's not being obedient. And she's no earthly good to you, Tim. Somehow you convince her that she's no earthly good to you, Tim. Okay, if she's not following you hook, line, and sinker. But good gracious, Tim. And oh, by the way, Tim, I have not forgotten that you guys have focused on trying to beautify your shed. You're trying to beautify your shed. Picking out colors for your shed. No one cares. Okay? Even before you picked out colors for your house, you picked out colors for your shed. You used color swatches and samples on your shed. You're trying to, that's ridiculous. Okay, no reasonable person, okay, no reasonable person tries to beautify 2.5 walls of a shed shack before they do anything to improve the aesthetics of the exterior of their house. No one does that. And certainly no one tries to match their house's exterior to the exterior of a freaking shed. I'm sorry. Excuse my language. No one does that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Like I said, y'all should be at the point now in the videos where y'all are about to see us paint the barn. In today's sneak peek, y'all are going to see us pick out the paint color. Even though y'all have already seen sneak peeks of the paint color, y'all know I can't hold water. For real. I've been that way the whole time we've had this channel. Anytime there's something exciting.
Tim, he reminds you guys that some viewers that emailed him told him that his intros for his IAG were too long. And by too long, they meant nonsense. Okay, everybody has a fast forward button. Everybody has it. Okay, even the heaviest of Tim followers have a fast forward button. And so when they were talking about when they supposedly emailed you and said that the intros were too long, what they were saying was the intros are nonsense. It's a waste of time. And of course, Tim, my coach being who he is, he said, well, I'm going to double down. You guys know that I don't like your feedback anyway. Okay, I don't seek out your feedback. I don't desire your feedback. Okay. In fact, okay, if you guys give me some feedback that's contrary to what I was thinking in the first place, I'm going to double down. Okay, and so he demonstrates that he doubled down. Some of you guys said the intros are too long. He said, well, I'm just going to take, instead of having these long intros, I'm going to double down and I'm going to make a preview or a trailer video. Okay, that's like 5 times as long. Okay, you guys encouraged me to cut out the fat, cut out the nonsense from my videos. And so I'm going to make a separate video that's full of nothing but nonsense. Okay. And so you woeful Tim worshipers that have nothing better to do with your time, okay, I'm going to give you guys something to consume. I'm going to give you some empty content, empty calories for you guys to consume. All right? And that's what he does. And he bucks the system. He bucks it. Rather than taking constructive feedback or constructive criticism, he gets defensive. He said, no. Okay, you guys are talking about my intros. Okay, how about this? How about I take the intro and I'm going to make a full video out of it. And I'm going to continue to monetize off the backs of my woeful Tim worshipers. How about that? How about them apples?
I really can't hold it. So I always give y'all like sneak peeks into it. And now the Lord just gave us the wisdom because you all actually helped. And because some people were saying that our intros on our videos were too long. And I was like, well, if they don't like the intros on the videos, what I'll do is I'll make a whole I'll make the intro into a whole video of itself. And it's been a beautiful thing. And I know it's really blessed a lot of people. And like I said, it just gives the option for people who don't want to see the long intro to not watch it and to be able to just watch, the short intros that I do on the videos now. And for you all who just want more IAG all the time, it's all about God. Who wouldn't want more IAG? You know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't want more all about God? You know what I'm saying? Because, it's just a beautiful thing that we live our lives.
Tim talks about how they've dedicated their lives to serving Jesus. And I thought that the saying was, what would Jesus do? And so if you're trying to emulate Jesus, be like Jesus, and certainly if you're trying to serve Jesus as you claim your entire life, okay, is centered around, where have we seen that? Okay. Okay, the way that you mistreated your mama, the way that you attempted to work her harder than she's ever worked in her life, the way that you ostracized your family down at that legacy property, how you spoke badly about them, made the derogatory comments about them, how you claimed that God wasn't in or around that property, which would imply that the property was full of demons. It was full of demons. If God wasn't in or around it, was that being like Jesus? Was that Jesus like? Okay, considering your neglect of Megan and her hernia, your neglect of Megan as being a female, as being a help mate, and not her being the number one worker around the IAG, breaking her back around IAG, working her like a man. Is that being like Jesus? Is that dedicating your whole life to Jesus? Is that right? Is that what Jesus would want? Considering how you've handicapped your boys as far as their development, as far as their socialization, their interpersonal skills, their abilities to express themselves. Is that what Jesus would want? Is that living your whole life for Jesus? Okay. You're the caretaker of those boys, right? They say a good man leaves an inheritance. He leaves an inheritance for his children. Forget about the children's children. Okay. First and foremost, what about for your children? Okay. And so how is that living your whole life for Jesus when you're handicapping your own boys? You're stealing from their inheritance today, every day. Okay. By handicapping their education, their development, and their education. By you feeling threatened by those boys, the more they learn, the more you're threatened. That's insecurity. That's not Jesus-like. That's not Jesus-like. You've forsaken the true fellowship. You've taken on this supposed YouTube fellowship, whatever that is. The supposed YouTube fellowship that you can't dialogue back and forth with, that you do not see in person. There's no personal communication with. How is that Jesus-like? Okay. But you talk about how you, I guess one of your followers indicated that they've been following Jesus for 45 years. And you were quick to call them a hater. You were quick to call them a hater. Okay, just simply because they've been in the church or in or around the church for 45 years, maybe consistently, maybe continuously, maybe sporadically, but they've been worshiping the Lord for 45 years. You instantly call them a hater? What kind of nonsense is that? How are they a hater? Okay. Oh, he's going to tell us why that person's a hater? All right, coach. Tell us all about it, coach. We're listening.
Lives dedicated to Jesus Christ. And it's like, it may seem funny because we encounter a lot of like deeply religious people that think that they're serving the Lord. Like one time somebody told me, they said, I've been serving the Lord for 45 years. This is a hater.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, that person that had the 45 years, they got personal. Or at least my coach and y'all's pastor, he took it personally. Okay? So apparently that person said that they've been serving the Lord for 45 years and they've never seen a person that has stolen or a person that was a thief. Okay? They've never seen that type of person change in their 45 years of serving the Lord. And of course, Tim took that personally. Okay? Because we know he has some insecurity. We know he has some anxieties about his actions and him supposedly being all about God and his travels. And we do know that he's looking over his shoulder. We do know he's looking over his shoulder and for good reason. Okay, because he had plenty of missteps, many of deception in his travels. And so, of course, if this person says, I've never seen one of those thieves change, of course, Tim is like, hold on now. Whoa. According to YouTube, I've changed. According to the narrative that I have put out, or that I have attempted to put out on my camera, my fellowship, during my fellowship with my camera, okay, I have changed. But Tim says that person spent 45 years in or around the church, and they wasted all of that time. I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, forget about the fact that person may have volunteered for the food pantry. They may have done a children's ministry. They may have donated clothing. They may have prayed for the sick. No telling what type of offerings they've given to the church, what type of sacrificial offerings. There's no telling what that person has done in 45 years of serving the Lord. And you're going to claim, you being Tim Almighty, you're going to claim that that person wasted all that time? Oh, my goodness, Tim. Oh, utter arrogance, utter nonsense. Coach, I know that you took it personally when that person was prophesying that they've never seen one change. And of course, when they say that they've never seen one of those thieves change, of course, Coach, you know that they were talking about you, Coach. All right? You took it personally and you lashed out at them. And at some point, I guess you decide, well, I'm going to include it in my video. I'm going to include it in my trailer video. While I'm out here rambling about foolishness, I'm going to include it here, okay? I already decided that I'm going to give up those P2 motivations where I rant about the reaction channels. And so now I'm going to rant about some of you guys that have been commenting or sending me emails. But go ahead, Coach.
They said, I've been serving the Lord for 45 years and you were a thief. And I've never seen somebody who was a thief, somebody who stole, like change. In my 45 years of serving the Lord, I've never seen anybody change. So I know you're fake and I know you're not real. And I'm like, 45 years going to church, sitting in church services, and you just been wasting your time all this time. It's like, literally, I've been serving the Lord wholeheartedly for like,
Tim talks about, in comparison to the person that's been serving the Lord for 45 years, he's talking about how he's been serving the Lord wholeheartedly. Does he know what that means? Wholeheartedly. That's with your whole heart. Yes? Okay, you can't have deception in your heart and be wholeheartedly serving the Lord. Yes? You can't have hate in your heart and be wholeheartedly serving the Lord. Yeah? You can't have jealousy in your heart, insecurity in your heart, and be wholeheartedly serving the Lord. You can't have greed in your heart, okay, and be wholeheartedly serving the Lord. Yes? You can't be gluttonous. You can't have gluttony in your heart. Okay, you can't have a hoarder's mentality in your heart and be wholeheartedly serving the Lord. Okay? It does not jive. It does not compute. But you say you've been wholeheartedly serving the Lord since you were about 19. Now, considering that you didn't get out of prison until you were 24, that would imply that the last 5 years of your incarceration, you were wholeheartedly serving the Lord. All right, Tim. So now, when you were fornicating in prison, were you wholeheartedly serving the Lord? When you had taken up with your prison boo, were you wholeheartedly serving the Lord? When you had to shank a person from time to time, were you wholeheartedly serving the Lord? I guess we would have to ask your buddy. Okay, who's that? Duke? I think it was Duke. Duke and the boys. We would have to ask your buddy, your prison mate, whether or not you were wholeheartedly serving the Lord. And we do understand that in prison, it's survival of the fittest. And we do understand that you have to do some extraneous things. You have to take part in some extraneous activities. But how could you claim that for those 5 years after you were 19, that you wholeheartedly served the Lord? Okay, and certainly since you've gotten out, we do know that you did probably 50 times as much studying of the word when you were in prison, because you had a lot more spare time than you do now. When you talk about doing 5 to 10 minutes of study 2 to 3 days out of the week, that's not wholeheartedly serving the Lord. Okay, when you haven't donated anything except for some of your junk, supposedly donated some of your junk out of that camper, when you haven't donated anything for the last 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 years, how is that wholehearted? You've had abundance. So you've had the ability to donate to others. You've had the ability to be charitable. You've chosen not to. You've chosen to amplify your own monetary situation. You've chosen to further line your own pockets, accumulate more abundance for yourself. And so that's not wholeheartedly serving the Lord. Of course, you remind us that you try not to do math on camera, but you do from time to time, Coach, when you feel confident. From time to time, when you feel confident, you do try to do some math on camera. Okay, and you talk about, well, from 19 to 36 is, what's that, about 12 or 13 years? Of course, we know that's about 17 years, but it doesn't matter, okay, because you have not been clearly, okay, we go into the archives of the IAG, clearly you have not been wholeheartedly serving the Lord for anywhere near 19 years, anywhere near 17 years, anywhere near 12, 13 years. It hasn't happened. It's irrefutable, Coach.
13, maybe going on 14 years, maybe 15 years, something like that, because I started following the Lord when I was about 19, 20. So 19 all the way to 35, 36. I'll be 36 this year. And so in that little amount of time, what is that, like 19, 15 years? I don't know. I don't do math on camera. Y'all edit that part out.
Tim talks about in his short span of time of serving the Lord, he's seen many people change. Yes. He's seen drug addicts change their ways and recover, which is a blessed thing. He's seen people that have done violent or heinous crimes change their ways. And that's great to hear, Coach. But those guys are not thieves. They're not thieves. All right. Okay. They may be drug addicts and thieves. They may be violent and thieves. Okay. But you're talking about the folks that are not thieves. Okay. That viewer that had served for 45 years, they were talking specifically about thieves. Specifically about thieves. Okay. We already know that if you scratch a liar, you find a thief. All right. We already know that the inverse is true, that if you scratch a thief, you find a liar. All right, Coach. All right. And so those examples, for some reason, you left out the thieves. Which thieves have you seen over the years that have changed their ways? Okay. Much of thievery is done under the cloak of darkness. It's done when no one is watching. Okay. Now, some people, they grab a weapon. Some people grab a gun and they stick up folks. Yes, they rob folks. Okay, in broad daylight. Okay, but much of thievery happens under the cloak of darkness. Okay, much of it happens. Okay, so how would you know if those folks have changed? Okay, but you did not bring up any thievery. Okay, you didn't bring up any of those types of actions. Okay, and now you talk about, well, when you open the Bible, you see that certain people have changed in the Bible. And I'm like, okay, Coach, you read about it. You didn't see it. You didn't see it. Okay, the woman of 40 years, the one that was supporting or following the Lord for 45 years, she's talking about what she's seen in person. Okay, you're talking about stuff that happened in the Bible. Okay, the Bible history, we've already gone through this before, Coach. The Bible history is not your history. Okay, it's documentation of what others have seen. You didn't see that stuff. You weren't there in the Bible days, the supposed Bible days or the biblical times. You weren't there. You can't use those experiences as your own, Coach. What next? What next? You're going to think of yourself as being Jesus? What next? Next, you're going to talk about healing the sick? What? You're going to talk about raising the dead? What next, Coach? You're going to claim that you raised the dead at some point? I mean, come on now, Coach. Those are not your stories. They're exciting stories. They're inspirational stories. But they're not yours, Coach. He already talked about raising the dead. Is that right? Back in Jackson, he claimed that he raised the dead. Is that right? So he's got some type of confusion with reality and the scripture, his true reality, and a certain reality that he's trying to portray. He's trying to portray for the YouTube world. Is that right? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But in that little amount of time, I haven't been serving the Lord 45 years yet. But in that little amount of time, I've seen so many lives changed. I've seen so many drug addicts like be delivered and start walking fully with the Lord, go from being a drug addict on the street to being a good husband, a good father, a good businessman. Like I've seen like people who have did brutal and heinous things. I've seen people who were like from all walks of life, and even not even going to like the personal realities that I've experienced. Is like I open up the Bible and I see Paul, who was a killer and a persecutor of Christians, and I see him writing 70% of the New Testament. I see David, who murdered a man's wife. And I see him being a man.
Now, Tim, rather than talk about his personal experiences with seeing people change, now bear in mind that he would be looking through his own lens. Okay, so it would be questionable when he would claim that certain people changed. We just have to understand that he would be looking through a tainted lens. Yes. Okay. Remember, scratch a thief, find a liar. Okay, they go hand in hand. Okay. But he talks about, rather than talk about his personal experiences with seeing people change. And now if he's been wholehearted for 19 or 17 years, 13 years by his calculation, if he's been wholehearted by for at least 13 years, certainly he should have seen plenty of people changed. Okay, when he was doing his walk by faith ministry, certainly he should have seen many people changed. Yes, when he had those dozen folk out there in that vacant lot, out there in the dirt, doing the ministry in the dirt because he likes to dwell in the mud / dirt. Certainly he should have seen many people changed. But rather than talk about his personal experience, rather than give some personal testimony about actual people, he refers to the Bible. He talks about Paul and he talks about Peter in the Bible. And he talks about some of the change that they experienced. And then he claims that he saw it. He's like, okay, when I open the Bible and I read this, that means that I saw it. I'm like, okay, coach. Okay, coach. Is there something that's unraveling here, coach? Is there something that's unraveling? Okay, we know that anxiety is a mother. Okay, we know anxiety can get at a person. We know that depression is a mother sucker. Okay, coach. We know that can tear someone down. Yes. Okay, coach. But when you talk about reading in the Bible, that's not the same as seeing it. And certainly you were not there in person, coach. But maybe in your mind. Maybe in your mind you were there, coach.
Who was after God's own heart. I see examples. I see Peter, a man who was afraid, who cut off a man's ear, a man who denied Jesus, being willing, as church history tells us, to be crucified upside down because he thought if he was crucified right side up like Jesus, it would be a dishonor to his Savior. So all I've seen is change.
Tim talks about how many or most of his haters are highly religious. Okay, and I'm like, okay, well, when did being religious become a negative thing? Okay, when did that become a derogatory label of when a person being religious? Okay, now some people can be quote unquote too religious, whereby they're no earthly good. Okay, but he talks about people. He just paints a broad stroke about people that are religious, and him and the folks that are his haters are religious. And he talks about, you would think that the haters are unbelievers or non-believers, and he's talking about no, many of them have spent plenty of time in church. Okay, which means they spent plenty of time under someone's covering. They've spent plenty of time having the word interpreted for them. And to some extent, obviously, they should have done some study of their own along the way. But, other certain amount of scripture is interpreted for them. Okay, based upon the word that their pastor or their minister or their bishop got from the Lord. And so But he talks about, well, these are the people that you will be sitting next to in church. And there we are. Okay, coach. Coach, just because you decided to isolate yourself and your family from the church, just because you decided to forsake the fellowship, okay, doesn't mean that you have to bad talk the church. You don't need to bad talk the church. Okay? You don't need to try to discourage your followers, your Ready Tim writers, okay, your subscribers. You don't need to discourage them from going to church, coach. Okay? All right? Certainly all churches cannot be bad churches. All right? Okay, so why are you trying to discourage them? Okay, if you go to church, you're going to be sitting next to some of these highly religious folk. As if it's a bad thing. All right, coach? But tell us more, coach. Tell us more.
But like I say, we encounter those type things all the time. Like I say, people who are deeply religious, and those are most of our haters, actually. And it's sad. It's not even funny. And we pray for them like consistently because they think that they're exposing something in us, but they're really exposing something in themselves. And it's really sad for someone, you know, and that's mainly, you know, because you would think that people that are hating on us are like unbelievers. But that's not how it is. Like the people who are hating on us are, I can't turn y'all that way. I don't want y'all to see the barn. The people who are hating on us are people that you will be sitting next to in a church service. And they've never had a...
Tim talks about getting away from the four walls of a church, which certainly they've done. All right. But he talks about getting away from the church and taking off the ceiling and activating your faith and being active both in word and in action. And I'm like, okay, coach, there's barely a sprinkling of word within your YouTube calling, okay, within your YouTube endurance, okay? There's barely a sprinkling of scripture or the word within it. And so how would that constitute you being active with your faith? How would that constitute it? Yes? And you talk about, well, you know, demonstrating the word or demonstrating your faith through some of these projects and what have you. And I'm like, okay, how is digging up hundreds of pounds of poop from the pig pen, how does that activating your faith? Okay, you neglected those pigs in the first place. Okay, they were out there walling around in the infestation, walling around in the mire, the disease-ridden poop mud. Okay, how is that activating your faith? Okay, how is digging this camper, pulling this camper up from the muck or the mire from the end of the property where you guys banished it to? Okay, how is that activating your faith? And how is that going to promote your followers activating their faith through your actions? Which actions are we talking about? Okay, how is you taking 2 years plus to even come close to completing half of that shed shack that you call earnest? How is that going to activate somebody's faith through their actions or through their deeds? We're not seeing it. Okay, how is you wasting $9,000 in financing that zero turn so that you could mow grass and mow weeds and briars and bush? How is that an action that demonstrates faith? Okay, we're not seeing the actions that demonstrate the faith. Okay, we're not seeing it. All right. When we look at Megan, she should be a reflection of your faith. Okay. When we look at the boys, they should be a reflection of your faith. Certainly in honoring our mother and our father, when we look at Grandma Lily, she should have been a reflection of your faith. Okay, and of course, when we remember your father who you reminded us is still alive. Okay, we remember your father and how you've eliminated him from your life, or how he eliminated you from his life. We're not sure which way that went. Okay, but your father should be a reflection of your faith. When we look at your interaction, or we hear about your interaction with your uncles or your aunts, your brothers or your sisters, nieces or nephews, they should be a reflection of your faith. We don't see the reflection. But tell us more, Coach.
Full, complete relationship with the Lord is in both word and demonstration. And we're trying to demonstrate God's power. And that's what we're doing. Like I said, we're using these tangible things, these tangible situations. We're using our family and putting ourselves out there in a vulnerable place so that we can encourage people, so that we can show people that you can be a normal person in a certain sense and love God in these normal situations at work, at school, at, being a husband, being a father, being a wife, being a mother, being a CEO, you know what I'm saying?
All right, that's it. That's it. I can't take anymore. I can't take no more. That's it for my reaction to that recent trailer or promo for IAG Farms. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Chop it up in the comments. Bernard, Tim, heavies, new heavies, old heavies. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the comments as usual. I want to shoot out some love to my current subscribers. Thank you for showing me that love. Much appreciated. For those viewers that have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing so that we can continue to shine that light. Until next time.